Welcome back to Newsroom. I'm Chelsea Smith. This is your Middle East U.S. entertainment news here on YouTube. I air on Fridays. I bring you the latest on reforms in economics Iraq based on reports put out by the Middle East news media outlets. I do this weekly review and it's based off my interests. Thank you everyone for joining me. Last week we talked about Iraq finally electing their president of the republic a year after October 10th, 2021 elections, and Prime Minister designate as they move forward with their cabinet to form their new government. Let's take a look at this week's headlines. Shafak News reports the U.S. State Department welcomed the election of Abdul Latif Rashid as president of Iraq and the assignment of Mohammed Shia al-Sudani to form the new government. The election of the president of the republic comes a year after early elections were held on October 10th, 2021, but the political blocs were unable to elect the president of the republic, who in turn assigns the candidate of the largest number of parliamentary blocs to form their government, saying, "We urge the political leaders who will form the new government to head the will of Iraqis who votes for the government that responds to their needs." The United States also urges all parties to avoid violence and resolve differences amicably and peacefully through the political process. State Department spokesman Ned Price said in a statement, "The United States reaffirms its commitment to partnering with the people and government of Iraq to advance our many shared priorities. We look forward to continuing strong corporations between our two countries." Al-Farat News reports the U.S. ambassador to Iraq, Elena Romanowski, warns of dangerous repercussions in the event of failure of the government of the Prime Minister-designate Mohammed Shia al-Sudani. Informed sources quoted, Romanowski has engaged in extraordinary activities since the Sudanese obtained papers assigning him to form the new government. And during the past week, she has intensified her visits to the Sudanese and President of the Republic and Parliament to discuss the formation of the government. Iraq's political source familiar with the meeting said that the ambassador was very keen that the efforts of political forces succeeded in forming the cabinet without delay. The sources quoted part of the discussion between al-Sudani and the United States ambassador about the necessities of forming the government that contributes to restoring security and political stability in the country, and that she, the ambassador, uses phrases such as, "It is good to benefit from experiences of previous governments, because failure this time will cost Iraq's repercussions seriously." The sources pointed out that Iraq's leaders assure the U.S. ambassador in Baghdad that the new government will maintain its strategic relations with Washington and that it enjoys great political support in Parliament, which will give its confidence easily. Al-Sudani has received at his residence the U.S. ambassador last Sunday, and this discussed bilateral relations and common interests between the two countries and ways of developing them, and the importance of working to enhance security and stability in Iraq and the region during the next stages. Al-Sudani affirmed to the U.S. ambassador Iraq's desires to consolidate its strategic partner relationships with the United States by strengthening work on the Strategic Framework Agreement, an issue of facing the efforts of climate change, as well as security cooperation in the fields of providing support and advice to empower the Iraqi security forces. He also expressed that the keenness of the next government to continue dialogue at a national level inside and outside Parliament and to strive to resolve international continuous issues, stressing the importance of building distinguished and balanced international relations in the interest of the Iraqi people and extending bridges of cooperation with brotherly and friendly people in the surrounding regional and international. Shafak News reports the Prime Minister-designate Mohammed Shia al-Sudani affirms Thursday the desire of the new Iraqi government to strengthen relations with Canada while expressing his support for continued cooperation with NATO. Al-Sudani's media office says the Prime Minister-designate Mohammed Shia al-Sudani received yesterday Canada's ambassador to Iraq, Gregory Galligan, where it presented the Canadian Sudanese government's congratulations on the occasion of his assignment to head to the next Iraqi government and his wishes for success in the mission and implementation of the goals drawn up by his new government. Al-Sudani affirmed that the future government's desire to consolidate its relations with Canada in various fields, noting its contribution to the war against the terrorist Daesh within the international coalition, pointing to its role in supporting the Iraqi security forces by providing advice and training within the framework of NATO, and the importance of continuing the cooperation in its developments to include other aspects of their economy, investment, and facing the challenges of climate change. Shafaq News reports the new Iraqi President Abdul Latif Rashid began on Monday his duties at Al Salam Place in the capital Baghdad, succeeding the President Barham Saleh. The previous stage was difficult for everyone, Rashid said in a speech during his assignment, which was followed by Shafaq News, adding, "I am seeking to establish strong relations with neighboring countries and the international communities." He continued, "We hope to form a government as soon as possible," vowing, "I will do everything in my power to protect the Constitution and solving existing problems." The President of the Republic added, "I seek to establish strong relations with neighboring countries and the international community." On the 13th of November, the Iraqi parliament chose Abdul Latif Rashid as President of the Republic of Iraq, while in return taking the candidates of the largest bloc, Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, to form the new Iraqi government. Shafaq News reports on Tuesday, the United States announces a $2 million grant for Iraqi food security and another $8 million grant for Iraqi and Syrian refugees in camps, saying, "We are excited to announce a $2 million grant that will be invested through the USAID in small and medium agriculture businesses to support Iraqi food security." U.S. Ambassador to Iraq Elena Romanovsky has been busy this week, saying in a tweet on Twitter, the ambassador revealed that $8 million has been allocated through the USAID Save Lives to meet the critical food needs of the displaced Iraqis and Syrian refugees in the camps. Al Fret News reports the King of Saudi Arabia, Salman bin Abdul Aziz, announced his support for the stability and security of Iraq. In a speech to the Saudi Shura Council on October 16th, King Salman said, "Iraq's security and stability in the fundamental pillar for the security and stability of the region," stressing Saudi Arabia support for Iraqi security, stability, and territorial integrity. He pointed out that the kingdom is working within its energy strategies to support the stability of oil makers, noting that the kingdom affirms its support stance for all international efforts to find a political solution to end the Russian-Ukrainian crisis. He urges the international communities to intensify efforts to prevent the spread of weapons of mass destruction and to ensure the region is free of them, calling on Iran to urgently fulfill its nuclear obligations and cooperate fully with the International Atomic Energy Agency. King Salman stressed that the security and stability of the Middle East requires expediting the findings of a just and comprehensive solution to the Palestinian issues. He hopes and he stresses the need to adhere to Security Council resolutions in a manner that preserves Syria's sovereignty, stability, and Arabism. And we want to stress the need to implement comprehensive structural, political, and economic reforms in Lebanon that leads to overcoming its crisis. Baghdad Magazine News reports on Monday the United Nations representative in Iraq, Janine Plasheret, demands the return of stolen tax dollars, saying, "Recover these funds and return them to their rightful owners. What can Iraq do with the billions of dollars lost from it?" She added, "Recover these funds and return them to their rightful owners. Support the Iraqi government in its investigations and provide protection for those who reveal the facts. Ensure accountability." And you've been watching Newsroom Weekly Review. I'm Chella Smith, your Middle East, U.S. entertainment news on reforms and economics Iraq, bringing you the latest Dinar news without having to keep up with all the different outlets. I'm here on YouTube every Friday, so don't forget to subscribe, and if you like my content, give me a thumbs up. I've opened up a Telegram group under Newsroom Chella Smith where you can review all our weekly calls, shows, appearances, and upcoming events. We're also on Patreon. In light of everything going on in Iraq, I'd like to share some of my personal experiences from time to time. I went to a cabin gathering over the weekend. I got to sit by a fire and enjoy some wonderful friends as companies. Some great food cooked over a tripod for the first time by my buddy Vinny with Vinny Ray's Barbecue. I also got to enjoy some wonderful bluegrass music by a gentleman. His name is Randy Berger. He's keeping the rock and roll king Elvis Presley's memories alive. He sang one of my favorites, and I'll end this week's newsroom with a few samples from his performance.
Working around the clock, one little drink of water, that's all that I got. You call man. Thank you, I call. Will you ain't something? You're just all that I. Ron usually does the impersonation of Elvis. Careful now. Oh my God. Well, that's all right, Mama. That's all right.
He sang one of my favorites, and I'll end this week's newsroom with a few samples from his performance. I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you, everyone, for all your kind support, comments, and shares. Take care.